Hey, what's up? It's Brandon Lyons. In this video, we're going to look at building a template or a session in Reaper that will allow you to record a remote performer into your Reaper session. So you do all the recording, your client can join you via Sessionwire, and they don't have to do a bunch of heavy lifting. You can just record them directly into your DAW. Now, a little caveat with this, obviously with music or metronomically aligned material, you're going to have to deal with the latency in the internet between the two of you. So for that reason, we recommend doing all of the recording and music sessions on the performing side of the Sessionwire session. For workflows like Voiceover or ADR or podcasting, this workflow works fantastically. So let's dive in here a little bit. I've got Sessionwire up on the right-hand side of my screen. You can see I'm connected with my colleague, Dan Smith, who's actually me, just on another computer. Anyways, Dan is going to be my performer, and I'm going to record him into Reaper. So I've got a blank Reaper session up on the left, and I'm just going to double-click right here in the little mixer, and it's going to create an audio track for me. I'm going to label this Sessionwire HQ Receive. And on this audio track, I'm going to go into the effects window. I can do a little search for Sessionwire, and I'm going to select the Receive plugin. There we go. We've got the Receive plugin in my session. In Sessionwire, I've already enabled Dan's HQ audio send ability, so he can stream HQ audio into my studio. I just need to ensure that I go into my settings and select as my HQ audio destination the Sessionwire Receive plugin. So any HQ audio in the Sessionwire session will end up going to the Receive plugin in Reaper. So let's have Dan speak a little bit for us, and we'll check our meters in Reaper, see if we're getting signal. And we're not. Let's try record enabling this. We'll see what happens.
This is a sample voiceover being performed from a remote location and recorded locally.
Okay, so right off the bat, we need to make sure that we have record enabled the track that we're going to be hearing Dan on. I'm going to set the input to none. That's just a bit of a, I don't know, a OCD tendency for me, just to make sure that I'm not going to record my voice locally onto that track. What we're also going to do, and this is a cool trick that as far as I'm aware, only Reaper can do, is we're going to record Dan's voice on the same audio track that I've inserted the plugin that is streaming his voice into the session. It's a bit of an Inception type Matrix situation here. But this is the only DAW I'm aware of that can do this. Record the audio coming from a plugin on the same track that that plugin is inserted on. So the way we do that is we're going to right click on the record arm button on that track. We're going to go to record output, and we're going to go to and select record output stereo. So this will allow us to record the voice coming from Sessionwire onto this audio track without having to route it to another audio track and do that whole rigmarole as we've seen in some of the other videos. So let's have Dan speak again, except this time I'm going to hit record. So we're tracking, and we're going to have him talk.
This is a sample voiceover being performed from a remote location and recorded locally.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, let's have a look at how we can stream that audio back to Dan in case he wants to hear what he just recorded. As it stands, if I hit play, we're not going to hear any of this audio. No audio. And that's because we've got this Receive plugin on this track. So we have to set up a playback track. I'm going to double click in any blank space in the arrangement window or in the mixer. I'm going to label this playback 1. So this is going to be one of what could be several playback tracks in my session. I'm going to take this audio, drag it down onto that track, and if I hit play now,
this is a sample voiceover.
We hear what we've just recorded in this session. So already we have to decide, okay, we're only going to use this track here for recording audio coming from the Sessionwire session. That's all it's going to be used for. We have to use playback tracks in order to hear what we've just recorded locally. In order to get the audio to Dan, we're going to put the Sessionwire Send plugin on my master. So we'll take the Send plugin, put it on the master, and if we hit play, we're going to see the signal show up in the playback meters and in the master. And if we go over to Sessionwire, we'll see it show up in my meters, which means Dan will be able to hear this.
This is a sample voiceover being performed from a remote location and recorded locally.
Excellent. So now we're streaming that performance back to Dan. What we're going to notice if we have Dan speak again, and we're going to record him, is we're going to be basically setting up a bit of a feedback loop at the moment. There's a way to fix it, and I'll show you how to do it, but let's demonstrate this feedback loop first. So Dan, if you could give us a little bit of a sample.
This is a sample voiceover being performed from a remote location and recorded locally.
Okay, so we see meters moving everywhere. We've got meters coming from Dan here. We've got meters showing up in the receive plugin here. We've got meters going to the master fader, which means that that signal is going to the send plugin, which means that that signal is going back into Sessionwire, and Dan's hearing an echo while he's speaking. We don't want that. So we're going to take this Sessionwire HQ receive channel. I'm going to click the routing button, this little striped square, and we're going to have a look at this window here. There's an option in the top left-hand corner that says master send channels from /2. I'm going to turn that off. We don't want to send that signal to the master. What I do want to do is add an audio hardware output that goes to output 1 and 2. That means we're bypassing the master fader, and I'm able to hear Dan as he's speaking through my Reaper session, but it's not sending his voice back to the master channel, which has the send plugin on it. So let's have Dan speak one more time.
This is a sample voiceover being performed from a remote location and recorded locally.
Great. So now I'm hearing Dan speak. He's not hearing his voice being looped back to him, but I can still play this sample here that he already recorded back to him.
This is a sample voiceover being performed from a remote location and recorded locally.
Amazing. There you have it. That's how we set up an ADR session in Reaper. You could add more playback tracks if you'd like. You can add more audio tracks if you've got music you want to play to your artist to kind of put them in the mood. You can put slate tracks in here. They can all be routed to this master fader, and your artist will hear it. And you've got your record track set up so that you can record any client remotely into your Reaper session. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, just give us a shout, send us an email, info@sessionwire.com. More than happy to put together more content that you want to see, and let us know what you think of all of our content and about our platform. We love to hear feedback. See you in the next video.